on today's Jim Miller's Garden. First is these volunteer tomatoes that I put down here. And these two are getting pretty big. What's a little left to that. And here is these two squash that might identify as jack-o'-lanterns later. They're pretty big. Okay. And here's that pumpkin that finally fruited. It had a long story of trying to die, but it made it, and it's got a nice pumpkin on it. And here's my trap. I got a groundhog this week. He was eating these sweet potatoes. He was having a meal. I caught him, and he's resting here for the sweet potatoes revenge. Again, it's the 5th groundhog I got this year. You know, the animal control people, if you catch one, he'll just do away with him. And I saved him some time and did it myself. Here are these yellow tomatoes. There's some pretty good ones in there. Along with this row of volunteer tomatoes, there's a few left coming on. I'll make it up through here. Look at this, see what this bee. I don't know if you're a bee or not. I'll call you a bee, getting some nectar out of the pumpkin blossom. Lots of ooh, there's a female blossom down there with a bee in it, so there might be a squash coming there later. That's cool. And look at these sweet potato blossoms. They're real pretty. Last week when I videoed and I put it on, when it loaded on YouTube, I got like 500. I got 500 views after. I get some activity after it was loaded on YouTube, so that was kind of cool. I like to see that again. I don't know the reason for that. It just happened. And here's a pumpkin up here on the tomato row. Nice little one. It's probably done growing. Hey, there's 4 people. Come in and chat. Yep. Okay. Got a little pumpkin. It's getting ripe. I'll probably get it this week. Here's the giant Marconi peppers. That one's getting ripe. This one here is so weighted down, it's going to the ground. I ran out of props. Ooh, there's a monster bee or bumblebee. Got a huge bumblebee. He's taking his sweet time on these large marigolds. And here there's got a good half dozen, there's no good, 8 or so giant Marconis on this plant. Looks really good. So we'll just step out of that. Okay, just And here is, well, here's a real nice carving pumpkin. Really nice looking. I gotta take that inside this week. And here is another new addition. Another little pumpkin just started. It's been really dry, but these pumpkins over here have been doing okay. And here's a pumpkin that's hanging off the tomato cages. And it's a new one. Here's what's left of the one of these beefsteak tomatoes. Just a few growing, and there's still a few new ones started. They don't get very big. Here's some on the ground that I need to get those off the ground here pretty soon before it doesn't look very rainy coming up, so they probably can lay on the ground until I see that rain coming, and then I'll get them up. There's a couple more. And here's that climbing bean. It's a single plant. It came up voluntarily and climbed the fence. I got it to climb the fence, and it's got a good number of beans. Again, we already had a big old pot of beans from this plant last week. And here's a tomato, volunteer tomato, that's shot up above the fence and the beans, and it's got a good number of small tomatoes, and there's another tomato down the row on top of the fence again. So that's those. Here's this volunteer tomato that produces large tomatoes, and there's 3 out here, and there's 1 or 2 on the other side. And here is my 5th corn, but it's all chopped down. I cut it down with it's kitchen scissors. Kitchen scissors work really good. You just take the stalk and you chop 3 or 4 inches off at a time, and it takes a while, but I got it done. A good 70 stalks. Yeah, it was around 70 that I chopped one morning. Took maybe an hour or so, and that job is done. And here is some flat Dutch cabbage. Here's this one got planted 3 times because it died a couple times, and I wouldn't give up, and I put more seed in. There's a few down there growing. And here is I guess that's the first planting that this one survived, looking really good. May get a cabbage before cold weather. And here is a caged tomato in the fence post. It's all over the place. I've had some worm trouble I've been spraying it, but the worms kind of do their thing on several of the tomatoes. There's a pumpkin in this volunteer squash hill, and here's another one. Well, that one's even bigger than the first. This one's on the same vine, and here is this mess of tomatoes. It's with one that was a row that I planted with one was inside that came along with this squash hill that was in the hill, and it survived being overshaded by the pumpkin vines, and it's growing all over the place. There's tomatoes on it all over, and that one's, there'll be tomatoes until real cold. And here is this other caged with fence posts tomatoes. You just use what you got, materials around, and you don't have to go and spend a bunch of money on stuff. for the garden. Here's this other trap that I got, and you can see where the groundhog was digging, but he was too fat to fit in there to get caught. But he got caught in the other trap. I hope I'm done with these groundhogs this year. Okay. This one, I'm starting to think this pumpkin vine is it's getting too late in the year to do anything. But there's tomatoes in this hill that said I'm gonna make something of this late summer. But this vine here, it's got a nice zucchini type fruit on it, so got one there. Okay, I'm gonna do some watering. I'm gonna go water. I forgot to water last night. I was watching the Tennessee Volunteers take out Oklahoma. That was a good game. I like to see Tennessee in this new playoff format, and they talked about them getting a home game if they win enough games. So I'm gonna water these cabbage down here. Give them about a couple quarts maybe. Oh, I hope I didn't. I kind of knocked over that small one. I'll give the bigger one a little more. Yeah, it's gonna be fine. Okay. And here's this volunteer tomato that's struggling along, and it's got some tomatoes again. And here's what's left of the turkey craw beans. And I'll let it go to seed to get some for next time. And a family member wanted some seed, so I got enough seed for both of us. So I'll pick the remaining seed this week and put it with the others. And water these little avocado plants. They're just ornamental. They're kind of cool to have avocados growing. I got to take them in the house before frost. And these volunteer tomatoes that I put in planters, they're still hanging in there. Some of these plants are really producing a lot of little tomatoes. Okay, and get some more water. Look at this watering can. It's about had it. It's breaking apart. It leaks. I can only fill it a little over half because it leaks out the side. And get this rainwater and I got a lot that time. It's probably too much. No, I got to water the cabbage again. So where was I? I'll water that one, make sure. Okay. All over the place. And here's a little a little, boy, that one's not looking so hot. Well, that's okay. See what it's doing. It's got it's a little watermelon plant. It's got a little watermelon, a very tiny one. No, that's a flower. And it's got a little watermelon on it. It's not going to make anything to eat. And here's more of those flat Dutch cabbage. This smaller one here, I had to replant one time, and there's one there. Okay, let's give the bucket tomato a little love. This poor old, well, I thought it died, but it's growing a few tomatoes at the top. I need to weed it. There's like more weeds than tomato now. And hit these pineapples. They say just to water down the top right here. Couple, I don't know. These were, my father-in-law passed away, and that was part of the flower arrangement, and it's, I guess, 4 years ago, over 4 years ago, and those two, they're still got a little there life to them. We miss you, Poppy. All right. We'll have to do that this evening. Here's I'll do this one. Is there a big one on it? A Bush Goliath tomato. It's been very productive. We got the plant when it was about a foot high, and it had a small tomato on it. I like to grow them at tiny, when the plants are tiny, or grow them from seed. And I kind of think it's cheating to get a plant that's already ready to bear tomatoes. But it's put on a whole lot of tomatoes this year. The fact that it's still alive, and this plant is probably getting towards not a year old, but 10 months old. For when it was done at the nursery. So it was a pretty old plant when we got it. And here's a volunteer tomato coming out of the squash hill. It's got a nice large tomato there. That's good. That'll be a pretty good one. I'm gonna go, let's do this first. Go kind of backwards. Look at this lumpy, bumpy pumpkin squash, whatever it is. It looks like it's a gourd mixed with a pumpkin. And I hope it turns. We only got a month and a week, 5 weeks to get some color on that to have a cool jack-o'-lantern. And you can see here where the groundhog ate I never had any groundhog issues until this year. And also this was the first year we planted sweet potatoes. So maybe it was the sweet potatoes that brought them groundhogs in to eat. I mean, they'll trash. If I left them alone, they wouldn't have been sweet potatoes. They wouldn't have been this big patch over there, if I didn't deal with the groundhogs. And then they would have ate that, and then they would have started eating other stuff. Because, once they get started. Okay, here's these 3 steel post cage tomatoes. They're still putting on a good number of tomatoes. The plants don't look all that healthy. Well, they're just straggling. This one's gonna be good. That's a nice medium-sized. And you know, there's quite a few more to come, and they're growing. It hasn't rained hardly any for like, gosh, it's 6, 7, 8 weeks. And I haven't been watering these. They're on their own. It's sort of to the end of the season anyway, and I just don't want to water them. And they're doing well anyway. So, okay. And here's this long. I never seen one like that here. Pumpkin mixed in with probably several things. It's just got this squarish look to it that I haven't seen, so it's pretty cool looking. And I'd like to see that one turn for the jack-o'-lantern group. And here's a volunteer tomato that was in the fourth planting of corn, along with these. I'll go over here and have a little snack with these nightshade berries. I think they're, that one's pretty good. Those are pretty sweet. Oop, there's a green one. Don't eat the green ones. The foliage is supposed to be poisonous. And they say the green berries could be poisonous, but the ripe ones aren't. And these are volunteer. They came in with the birds. The birds planted them last year, and these are probably some of the seed from what I left grow last year. And here is this, get a good example. What Nana says, this is a grape tomato. I had one last year come up volunteer from the birds again, probably brought the seed in. And it grew, and I'm gonna try to keep some seed, hold some seed from it, and plant some next year. They may never come back, so I better get some seed. And here's a good group, a handful of beans. It looks like about 2 days, and I'll do a picking. Another volunteer tomato. And here's a pumpkin crawling up on the tomato cage. And that's another little bush Goliath. It's getting out competed with. Where's this? I thought there was a no, that one might have died. I thought there was a fruit on this mess. A couple tomatoes here died out, and the squash had run over the top of them. Nice little pumpkin there. And this is kind of a not in good shape tomatillo. I picked some, well, maybe I picked one or two off of it already. I thought it was gonna, well, it hasn't been raining. It could have used some rain. We have a lot of white flies, and they're on everything. And they spray, and they don't, it doesn't do much with them. And they're, see, under the leaves, they're sucking the juice out. And here is a nice pumpkin. That's going to be a nice, fat, big one. And there's another pumpkin over here on this board. It was hanging on the fence. It got too heavy in the vine. It broke the, I don't know what they call these things on squash. These things that grab, they grab onto anything in sight and they pull the vine up. Yeah, I'm on Zoom. And that's how they get them to the most sun, is climbing. Okay. Here is that last little, now that's going to be certainly eaten size. That's the acorn squash, the only one that survived the summer. And it's looking good. I got plenty of squash off the hill, but there's one more coming on. And then here's this big, most of this here in this area is a nightshade berry plant, or several plants. Where's that berry on this? That looks ripe. I think they've been dropping. I'll find ones. But with these, I gotta pull the stem off. To eat the berry. So some of these nightshades are different from each other. Here's a nice big tomato from this plant that started down there. Large tomato. Hope those worms don't get on it. Another volunteer tomato. I had it climb up this stick. Here's a late nightshade. And look, it has the same problem. I gotta take the stem off to eat it when I pick it. Okay, those taste pretty good. And this plant came really late in the year, and it's bearing berries. And here is another volunteer tomato. And these are real pretty little ones. And this plant looks more towards aroma. I think the color of it looks more like, it has a dark green top and a lighter towards the blossom end. And I think it might not be aroma at all, or even a mix. It may be just a separate. But I think this tomato came in on the birds, because it's something unique that came up. Another volunteer tomato, and it's got this very large tomato, but there's a little bit of worm damage or something on right there. But so far it hasn't started rotting. If a green tomato starts to rot, I'll just cut the rot out and just mix it in with the others. It doesn't affect the flavor much at all, just to use what we have. And here's another sprawling volunteer tomato. And here is the cantaloupe hill. But even though it looks horrible, it's got a vine down here with a fairly good sized cantaloupe on it. It's going to be eaten about a month. Within a month it should be ripe. If other things, I've had deer issues in the fall in the garden, so it could be something for the deer. I don't want it to be something for the deer, but it could be. And here's three of the plants, the tomato plants that were from the nursery. I think there is two this is a Mr. Stripey, a few tomatoes, and here is a Brandywine. Look like, I don't know if there's one. See, that one's from that hill. It's got a tomato or two on it, and here's another Mr. Stripey that's got a lot of green tomatoes on it. And, you know, eating size tomatoes are close to it. And it had a decent amount of tomatoes during the summer months, late spring, early summer. And it's putting on again, and it's probably got the most tomatoes it's ever had, so that's good. And here is this one vine here is this is a very late pumpkin that volunteer plant, very late germinating, like it probably started in July. And I don't think it's going to get a fruit. They got white fly problems. I'm not going to water it to help it out. I think it's getting some decent moisture regardless. And here's another tiny pumpkin or squash. And there's one down in there. And I think here's this. That one's got a ripish look. And here's a volunteer cantaloupe. This one came up in the fourth corn that I planted, and I left it, and it had already had a real nice cantaloupe, and I ate it. And here's another one that's got some size to it, so we'll get cantaloupe late in the year. And here is that tomato that was I left in the carrot row long ago, and it's still bearing tomatoes. This one right here is getting ripe. Phew. It's a warm day. And a marigold. This marigold came from the neighbor's chicken manure. There's a nice pretty one there. Marigolds down this old corn row that I put chicken manure, and that's where the marigolds came up, because that looked like that was in the manure. Where's another big one? I ate some berries off of this yesterday, and they weren't all that sweet. But the ones I just picked are. Okay. And here's a tomato plant that's a volunteer. It hasn't had any tomatoes yet. This original stalk died out, and it grew up from the root, and it's making an attempt for something late in the year. Well, good luck with that. It's got blossoms though. Okay, I've seen all that. I've seen it all. I'll give you a panel look at this tangled up late summer garden. Still a lot of green, even though it's late in the year. Okay, I did those. I'm gonna have to go to the rabbits for some entertainment. Here's my most successful caged volunteer tomato. And it's had several large ones, and here's some more large tomatoes on it. Some of these volunteer tomatoes have been better than the nursery ones. This area gets the most sun in the garden. Gets some early morning and late evening. So it should do good, and it does. And here is a volunteer, one tomato. Oh, there's several new ones. up here on that plant. I'm gonna go look at this. Where is that squash? Just a little zucchini type squash pumpkin mix that's hiding. And a couple days ago, I did some mowing of this tall grass, and I kind of cut into where the pumpkins were growing, and I found a nice flat ripe pumpkin that I didn't chop with a mower, and I took it in the house. So it's a pumpkin I forgot about. Possibly there could be another. I could find another pumpkin in this grass. So we'll see. Here's this tomatillo. I picked a good number of them last week. Look at this one. This one needs picking. Well, you look okay. You can kind of hang. Yeah, I got to get that one pretty soon. But it's not deteriorating yet, so I'll harvest it pretty soon. And may get around to making that salsa verde, or at least figure out how to do it and say, well, maybe I won't like that. I don't know. Okay, that's about it with the garden. And here's the asparagus. There's like 4 to 5 hills of them along the tomatoes. And next spring, I'm going to start harvesting it for Nana. Okay, here's a poor, last week, I figured out the one that was being ate on, the tomato, was done by a chicken. Neighbor's chickens. They have a nice cage. They have them caged really nice, and we can't figure out how they get out. There's 2 of them. There's 2 culprits that get out on a daily basis, and we just can't figure out how they get out of the cage. And they come over and they picked on tomatoes a little bit, but not lately. Here's that's a newbie. Here's a little squash, a zucchini cross. There's 2 of them. 2 little pumpkins there. Yeah, good luck. Those certainly won't be yellow by Halloween. Okay. My daughter's coming over. What do you need? I'll be up in a few minutes, okay? You want to go look at the bunnies? Look over that bunny cage. See the cute bunnies? I'll be up in a few minutes.
Hey, what's that devour thing in the cabinet?
The what?
What is that mac and cheese looking thing that's in the cabinet?
You talking about the dry one?
And it says devour on it.
You want that?
Yes, are they mine?
I'll make that when I come up here in a minute.
Are those mine?
Yes. Okay, someone's hungry. Oops, I got a thumbs up. They like my stammering and jammering and not making any sense. I'm gonna go in the neighbor's animal pen. It's not a bird pen, it's an animal pen because there's bunnies. Well, don't eat tomatoes. Okay, that's fine. You gonna attack me? You want a little fight? All right. Nope, he's just posturing. Oh, I turned my back and no. You be good. No. They kicked these. The neighbor kicked us. This rooster was getting beat up in the neighbors or in the main pen, and he's out with the ducks, so he won't be beat up. And he's trying to beat me up. And here's his maybe his sister. And here's this speckled one that gets out. And the ducks. Hey ducks, are you in hawk patrol? Do you? You guys make delicious eggs, you know, except that rooster. Huh. I see that's not mine. The neighbor must have brought down a squash and they pretty much ate the inside of it. Okay. I don't know, I'm not going in today. Hey bunnies. Oh, you're cute. I'm not going in there. You guys are gonna lick me. You're gonna go lick my sandals. Is Daddy over there? Where's Daddy? I'm starting. Oh, there he is. These small bunnies are starting to get big as Daddy, and they're about some. There's some that are the same markings as him, and pretty soon, well, are you thinking of getting out? Don't get out. Leave my tomatoes alone. Back to the bunnies. I think there's 10 babies. And the neighbor's gonna have problems very soon if she don't separate them and have more bunnies. Be more bunnies. They're pretty active right now. There's a nice little, I can't remember. I don't remember this ramp. And I don't remember that pen. She must have just added this recently. But there's nice little shavings, wood shavings. So they can look like they sleep up there. You guys having fun? Bunnies all over. Well, I'm gonna go in the house and make some this little macaroni and cheese kit for my daughter. So I'm gonna end the stream. Jim Miller's Garden. Say hi to the bunnies. Say bye to the bunnies. No chats today. That's all right. I like chats. It must have been a boring video. I hope after the stream, when it's loaded, I get plenty of views like last time. Who knows? YouTube is not predictable. You guys are really cute. You're getting big feet. Little ones are getting big feet. So here's the end of Jim Miller's garden stream for September 22nd, 2024. We'll see you next week. Maybe it'll rain by then.